The Diddy trial just delivered one of its most terrifying moments yet. A witness named Briana Bangalon testified that Diddy grabbed her by the armpits and dangled her over a balcony for 15 seconds while screaming at her. But that's not even the most shocking part. She also revealed how Diddy tracked every single place she and Cassie went shopping, proving his control went far beyond what anyone imagined. Want to know exactly what happened during those terrifying 15 seconds? And how this testimony connects to the serious federal charges Diddy is facing? We're breaking down this explosive courtroom drama that has everyone talking about the true extent of his alleged control. Before we dive into this shocking testimony, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss the latest trial updates. Let's get into it. The terrifying balcony incident. Let's start with the moment that left the entire courtroom in shock. Briana Bangalon, who was a good friend of Cassie's and sometimes worked as a freelance designer for Diddy, took the witness stand and described one of the most frightening experiences of her life. Briana explained that she was sleeping on Cassie's couch with her then-girlfriend when they heard loud banging on the door. Having witnessed violence between Cassie and Diddy before, Briana quickly hid her girlfriend in the bathroom to keep her safe. Trying to appear casual when Diddy arrived, Briana went out to the balcony and started smoking. She thought this would make everything seem normal and relaxed. But what happened next was absolutely terrifying. According to Briana's testimony, Diddy came up behind her on the balcony. Now, this detail is important. Briana is only 5 feet tall. Diddy grabbed her by the armpits and lifted her up, placing her on the balcony railing with her feet dangling over the edge. For 15 seconds, Briana was hanging over the balcony while Diddy screamed at her, asking, "Do you know what you did?" Briana testified that she had no idea what he was talking about and kept saying she didn't know what she had done wrong. After those terrifying 15 seconds, Diddy threw her into some balcony furniture. That's when Cassie came outside and asked, "What the hell are you doing?" Only then did Diddy leave. Briana's testimony was so detailed and specific that it painted a clear picture of someone who feared for her life. Being dangled over a balcony by someone much larger than you, especially when you don't understand why, must have been absolutely terrifying. This incident shows the extreme lengths Diddy allegedly went to when he was angry or trying to send a message. It wasn't just verbal threats or intimidation. According to this testimony, he was willing to put someone's life in actual danger. The fact that Briana is now testifying about this incident in a federal criminal trial shows how seriously prosecutors are taking these allegations of violence and control. The tracking and control. But the balcony incident wasn't the only shocking revelation from Briana's testimony. She also described how Diddy maintained constant surveillance and control over Cassie's movements, even when she thought she was having private time with friends. Briana testified about a shopping trip she took with Cassie after the infamous 2016 hotel beating that was caught on video. They decided to go shopping together as a form of retail therapy, trying to help Cassie feel better after that traumatic incident. Here's the really disturbing part. They didn't tell Diddy where they were going. It was supposed to be a private outing between friends. But while they were shopping, Diddy started calling. When they got home, he not only scolded Cassie for going on the shopping trip without permission, but he also produced a detailed list of every single place they had been. Think about how scary that must have been for both women. They thought they were having a private day together, but Diddy somehow knew their exact movements. Briana's testimony didn't specify whether this was done through electronic tracking or by having someone follow them. But either way, it shows an incredible level of surveillance and control. This kind of behavior goes way beyond normal relationship jealousy or concern. This is the kind of tracking and monitoring that shows someone who needs to control every aspect of another person's life. For Cassie, knowing that she couldn't even go shopping with a friend without Diddy knowing every detail must have been psychologically devastating. It would make anyone feel like they had no privacy or freedom whatsoever. For Briana, witnessing this level of control probably helped her understand the dangerous situation her friend was in. It also explains why she might have been targeted for the balcony incident. Diddy saw her as someone who was helping Cassie have independence, which he apparently couldn't tolerate. How this connects to the federal charges. You might be wondering how these incidents of violence and control connect to the federal charges Diddy is facing. The prosecution is using this testimony to build a bigger picture of how Diddy allegedly operated a criminal organization. The federal charges against Diddy include sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. To prove these charges, prosecutors need to show that Diddy used various methods to control and coerce people into doing things they didn't want to do. Briana's testimony about the tracking and the balcony incident helps establish a pattern of control and intimidation. The prosecution's argument is that this kind of behavior created an environment where people felt they had no choice but to comply with Diddy's demands. When someone knows they are being tracked everywhere they go, and when they've seen their friends dangled over balconies for unknown reasons, they are much more likely to do whatever they are told to avoid similar treatment. The prosecution is painting a picture of Diddy as someone who used fear, surveillance, and violence to maintain control over the people around him. This allegedly included forcing people into sexual situations that prosecutors are calling freak-offs. While the balcony incident and tracking might not seem directly related to sex trafficking charges, they help establish the atmosphere of fear and control that prosecutors say made the more serious crimes possible. Legal experts say this kind of testimony is crucial for helping juries understand how criminal organizations operate. It's not just about the specific criminal acts, it's about the entire system of control that makes those acts possible. The prosecution's strategy. The prosecution's decision to have Briana testify shows their strategy for this case. They are not just focusing on the specific incidents that directly relate to the charges. Instead, they are trying to show the jury the full scope of Diddy's alleged criminal operation. Briana wasn't a Bad Boy Records employee or someone who worked directly for Diddy's companies. She was a freelance designer who became friends with Cassie. This makes her testimony particularly powerful because it shows that Diddy's alleged control extended even to people who weren't officially part of his organization. The prosecution is also preparing to show the jury sex tapes that they say will prove their case. A video forensic expert testified about enhancing 10 different tapes that will eventually be shown to the jury. These won't be shown in open court, but the jury will see them as evidence. This combination of witness testimony about control and surveillance, plus video evidence of the alleged crimes, creates a comprehensive case that prosecutors hope will convince the jury of Diddy's guilt. The prosecution is also using this testimony to explain some of the contradictory evidence that the defense is sure to highlight. When someone is living under this level of control and surveillance, their behavior might not always match what people expect from victims. For example, if Cassie sent loving text messages to Diddy, the prosecution can now argue that she did so because she knew she was being watched and tracked. Under those circumstances, sending friendly messages might have been a survival strategy rather than a genuine expression of feelings. If you're finding this trial analysis helpful, make sure to hit that like button and let us know in the comments what you think about this shocking testimony. The defense's challenge. For Diddy's defense team, Briana's testimony creates some serious challenges. Unlike some other witnesses, Briana wasn't seeking money from Diddy and doesn't appear to have financial motivations for testifying. She also provided very specific details about the incident she described. The 15-second time frame for the balcony incident, the detailed list of shopping locations, and other specifics make her testimony harder to dismiss as made up or exaggerated. However, the defense will likely argue that these incidents, while potentially disturbing, don't directly prove the federal charges Diddy is facing. They might contend that relationship conflicts and even violence don't automatically add up to federal crimes like sex trafficking. The defense has been successful in previous cross-examinations by highlighting inconsistencies and potential financial motivations of witnesses. With Briana, they'll need a different strategy since she doesn't fit the same pattern as some other witnesses. They might focus on the timing of her coming forward, her friendship with Cassie, or other factors that could influence her testimony. But the specific and shocking nature of her allegations makes this a difficult witness for the defense to discredit. The fact that Briana has also filed her own civil lawsuit against Diddy based on the balcony incident gives the defense something to work with. They can argue that she has financial motivations for making these allegations, even if she's not seeking money in the criminal case. What this means for the trial. Briana's testimony represents a significant moment in the prosecution's case because it comes from someone who witnessed Diddy's alleged behavior from a different perspective than his employees or business associates. Her testimony helps corroborate some of the allegations made by other witnesses, particularly regarding Diddy's control over Cassie. When multiple people describe the same patterns of behavior from different viewpoints, it strengthens the overall case. The tracking and surveillance allegations are particularly important because they show premeditation and systematic behavior rather than just isolated incidents of violence or abuse. For the jury, hearing about someone being dangled over a balcony for 15 seconds is the kind of specific, shocking detail that tends to stick in people's minds. It's much more concrete than general allegations of control or abuse. The prosecution is clearly building toward presenting their video evidence, and testimony like Briana's helps set the stage for that. If the jury already believes that Diddy was capable of extreme violence and control, they may be more likely to view the video evidence in that context. Legal observers are noting that the prosecution seems to be moving through their witness list faster than expected. This suggests they may be confident in the strength of their case and eager to get to their most powerful evidence. The broader pattern. What makes Briana's testimony particularly damaging is how it fits into a broader pattern of allegations against Diddy. Multiple witnesses have now described similar behaviors involving tracking, surveillance, and violence. The prosecution is painting a picture of someone who maintained control through a combination of technology, physical intimidation, and psychological manipulation. The tracking showed that escape was nearly impossible, while incidents like the balcony dangling showed the potential consequences of disobedience. This kind of systematic control is exactly what federal prosecutors need to prove to establish a criminal organization under the RICO statute. It's not enough to show isolated criminal acts. They need to demonstrate an ongoing pattern of criminal behavior. Briana's testimony helps establish that this pattern extended beyond just Diddy's romantic relationships. As Cassie's friend, Briana was pulled into this system of control and intimidation even though she wasn't directly involved with Diddy. This suggests that anyone who came into contact with Diddy's operation could potentially become a target if they were seen as threatening his control. That kind of widespread intimidation is a hallmark of criminal organizations. Industry impact. The entertainment industry is watching this testimony closely because it reveals the extent to which surveillance and control can be used to maintain power over artists and their associates. The idea that someone could track another person's movements so thoroughly that they knew every store visited during a shopping trip is disturbing on multiple levels. It suggests access to technology and resources that most people don't have. For people in the music industry, this testimony is probably causing them to think about their own experiences and relationships. The level of control described in Briana's testimony goes far beyond normal business relationships or even typical relationship dynamics. Record labels, management companies, and other industry businesses are likely reviewing their own practices and relationships in light of these allegations. The idea that this kind of behavior could be happening in the industry is troubling for many people. The testimony also raises questions about who else might have known about this alleged behavior and whether there were missed opportunities to intervene or help the people involved. Looking ahead, as the trial continues, the prosecution will likely present more witnesses who can corroborate the patterns of behavior that Briana described. They are building a comprehensive case that shows how Diddy allegedly maintained control over multiple people through various means. The upcoming video evidence will be crucial for the prosecution's case. If the videos support the testimony about control and coercion, it could be very damaging for Diddy's defense. For Briana personally, testifying about these experiences must have been extremely difficult. Reliving traumatic events in front of a jury and knowing that her testimony is being analyzed by the media and public takes tremendous courage. The defense will have their opportunity to present their side of the story when the prosecution finishes their case. They'll likely argue that the incidents described by witnesses like Briana are being taken out of context or mischaracterized. But the specific and shocking nature of allegations like the balcony incident make this a challenging case for any defense team. When someone testifies that they were dangled over a balcony for 15 seconds, that's the kind of detail that's hard to explain away. The human cost. Beyond the legal implications, Briana's testimony reminds us of the human cost of the alleged behavior described in this trial. The fear, trauma, and psychological damage experienced by the people involved extends far beyond any criminal charges. For someone like Briana, who was pulled into this situation simply because she was friends with Cassie, the experience of being dangled over a balcony must have been life-changing. That kind of trauma doesn't just go away when the incident is over. The tracking and surveillance allegations also reveal a level of psychological abuse that can be just as damaging as physical violence. Knowing that you can't go anywhere without being watched would be incredibly stressful and isolating. These human stories behind the legal proceedings help explain why cases like this are so important, regardless of celebrity status or industry connections. Everyone deserves to live without fear of violence or constant surveillance. Conclusion. Briana Bangalon's testimony about being dangled over a balcony for 15 seconds has provided one of the most shocking moments in the Diddy trial so far. Combined with her allegations about tracking and surveillance, her testimony paints a disturbing picture of control and intimidation. The prosecution is using testimony like Briana's to build a comprehensive case that shows how Diddy allegedly maintained control over multiple people through fear and surveillance. The specific details she provided make her testimony particularly powerful and difficult for the defense to discredit. As the trial continues, we can expect more witnesses to describe similar patterns of behavior. The prosecution appears to be building toward presenting video evidence that they believe will prove their case. For the entertainment industry and society more broadly, This trial is raising important questions about power, control, and accountability. The allegations described in testimony like Briana's go far beyond typical relationship conflicts and suggest systematic criminal behavior. What do you think about Briana's shocking testimony? Does the balcony incident and tracking evidence make the federal charges more believable? And what does this say about the culture of control and intimidation in the entertainment industry? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This is a developing case with new shocking revelations happening regularly. If this breakdown of the explosive testimony helped you understand what's happening in this high-stakes trial, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe for more courtroom coverage, and ring the notification bell so you never miss breaking developments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time with more updates from this unprecedented criminal trial. Stay informed and stay engaged.